I still remember the exact moment I woke up gasping, my nightgown soaked with sweat, my father's voice echoing in my ears like he was standing right there at the foot of the bed. "Don't wear that dress he gave you, Marlene." That's all he said. Calm, firm, the same tone he used when I was 12 and tried sneaking out in my cousin's too short skirt. Dead these 14 years. And there he was, clear as daylight, warning me about a dress. I sat up in the dark, heart hammering so loud I could hear it over the crickets outside the window. The room smelled faintly of the lavender sachets I keep in the drawers and of Marcus sleeping beside me. His breathing slow and even like nothing in the world was wrong. I pressed my palms to my chest, trying to quiet the panic. It was only a dream, just a dream. Daddy had been gone since I was 39, taken by the cancer that ate him down to skin and bones. He couldn't talk to me, he couldn't warn me about anything. But the words clung to me like damp sheets. The dress in question was hanging in the back of my closet, still wrapped in the boutique tissue paper. Marcus had brought it home in 3 weeks ago. Navy silk with tiny white flowers embroidered along the neckline. He'd laid the box on our bed with that shy little smile he saves for surprises and said, "For the anniversary dinner, baby." I saw it and thought, that's my wife. I'd kissed him silly right there, told him he still knew how to make a woman feel 25. I hadn't even tried it on yet. I was waiting for the actual day, this Saturday, our 20th. I lay back down, careful not to wake him, and stared at the ceiling fan turning slow circles. It was nothing. Stress, maybe. Marcus had been working late hours, closing some big dealership merger. Coming home smelling of conference rooms and someone else's coffee. I'd been helping our daughter, Keisha, plan her wedding, running myself ragged between cake tastings and seating charts. Of course, I was having strange dreams. My mind was tired, that's all. Still, I couldn't fall back asleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Daddy's face, thinner than I remembered from the end, but the eyes sharp, pleading. "Don't wear that dress he gave you." Morning finally crept in, gray and North Carolina humid. I slipped out of bed before the alarm, padded to the kitchen in my housecoat, the way I've done every day for 25 years. The linoleum was cool under my feet. I started the coffee, cracked eggs into the bowl for Marcus's favorite cheddar scramble. Put biscuit dough in the oven the way my mama taught me, no shortcuts, no canned nonsense. Normal things, safe things. Marcus came in yawning, hair sticking up in the back like our grandson's when he falls asleep on the couch watching cartoons. He kissed the top of my head, poured himself coffee, and opened his laptop at the table the way he does when he's checking one quick email. I set his plate in front of him, watched him smile, that absent thank you smile, the one that doesn't quite reach his eyes anymore. "You sleep okay, baby?" he asked, mouth half full. "Strange dream," I said lightly. "Daddy came and fussed at me about clothes. You know how he was." Marcus chuckled, scrolled something on his screen. "Old men always did have opinions about your hemlines." I laughed too, but it felt thin. The day went on like any other Thursday. I drove to the church to finalize the flowers for Keisha's wedding, stopped by the dry cleaners, came home and folded laundry while listening to gospel on the radio. Everything is ordinary. Everything is fine. But that dress kept tugging at the corner of my thoughts. Around 4 o'clock, I found myself standing in the bedroom, staring at the closet door. The house was quiet, sun slanting gold across the hardwood. I told myself I was being foolish, that I just wanted to try it on finally, see how it fit before the big night. That's all. I pulled the box down, peeled back the tissue. The silk slid cool over my arms like water. I stepped into it, reached back for the zipper, and that's when I felt it. Something small and hard sewn inside the lining, right at the small of my back. A little bump, no bigger than a shirt button. I twisted in front of the mirror, craning to see. My fingers found the seam, worked it gently. There, hidden between the lining and the outer fabric, was a tiny black disc, smaller than a dime. I'd seen enough crime shows with Keisha to know what it looked like. A tracker. My knees went weak. I sat down hard on the chest at the foot of the bed, dress still half sipped, holding that awful little thing between my fingers like it might burn me. Marcus had put a tracker in the dress he gave me for our anniversary. All the air left the room. The lavender sachets, the faint coffee smell from breakfast, the ticking of the hallway clock, everything sharpened until it hurt. I sat there for I don't know how long, turning that disc over and over, Daddy's voice looping in my head like a broken record. "Don't wear that dress he gave you." I should have listened. The first time, I don't know how long I sat there on that cedar chest with the dress bunched in my lap like a dead thing. The sun moved across the floorboards, inch by inch, until the room turned orange and hot. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. That little black disc looked harmless, like one of those buttons that fall off cheap blouses. But it weighed 1,000 pounds in my palm. I kept thinking, 20 years. 20 years of Sunday dinners, of him rubbing my feet when I was pregnant with Keisha, of hospital waiting rooms when his mama had the stroke, of slow dancing in this very bedroom to Aretha Franklin on the old record player. 20 years of yes, ma'am, and love you more, and him still calling me pretty when my hair started going gray at the temples, and now this. I forced myself to stand up. Legs like water. I laid the dress across the bed, careful, like it might explode, and went to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face. I looked at the woman in the mirror, 53 years old. Crow's feet, starting, mouth set hard, and I didn't recognize her. That woman looked like somebody fixing to lose everything. I put the tracker in a little pill bottle from the cabinet, the kind I keep extra buttons in, and hid it in my jewelry box under the false bottom where I stashed the good pearls Daddy gave me when I graduated nursing school. Then I zipped the dress back up, hung it in the very back of the closet behind my winter coats, and closed the door like I was burying something. Marcus came home around 7:30, same as most nights lately. I heard the garage door rumble, the jingle of his keys, the way he always kicks his shoes off by the mat and hollers, "Baby, I'm home." Usually I answer from wherever I am, laundry room, porch swing. That night I stayed in the living room with the lamp off, sitting in Daddy's old recliner that still smells faintly of his pipe tobacco. He walked in, loosening his tie, smiling when he saw me. "There's my girl. Thought you'd be in the kitchen, burning supper." He laughed at his own joke the way he always does. I didn't laugh back. He stopped in the doorway, smile fading. "Everything okay, Marlene?" I looked at him really. Looked, the salt starting in his beard. The little paunch, he jokes about being proof of your good cooking. The worry lines between his brows that weren't there 10 years ago, and I felt something inside me crack wide open. "Marcus," I said, voice steady even though my heart was doing somersaults, "why did you put a tracker in my anniversary dress?" The color left his face so fast I thought he might drop right there on the hardwood. His mouth opened, closed. It opened again. No sound came out. I waited. I've learned over the years that silence is a powerful thing. It makes people feel it. Finally he whispered, "How did you? Don't matter how. Answer me." He looked around like somebody might save him. Then sank down onto the ottoman across from me, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. When he spoke, his voice was small, the way our son Jamal's used to get when he was 8 and broke my good vase. "Marlene, baby, it's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." I folded my arms, sat back in Daddy's chair like I had all the time in the world. Inside I was screaming. He rubbed his face hard. There's some trouble at work. This merger. Some money went missing a few months ago, big money. The partners think somebody on the inside is talking to the competition. They hired private investigators. Everybody's being watched. Spouses too. They told us to put trackers on anything new we bought our wives, just in case. Just in case somebody was using family to pass information. He looked up at me, eyes pleading. "I didn't want to scare you. I thought if I put it in the dress, you'd wear it one night and that'd be that. I was gonna take it out after dinner. I swear on my mama's grave." I just stared at him. He kept talking, words tumbling faster now. "They said it was standard procedure, that everybody was doing it. I didn't have a choice, Marlene. If I didn't cooperate, they'd think it was me stealing. We could lose everything, the house, retirement, everything we worked for." I felt the anger rise hot and thick in my throat. "So instead of telling your wife your partner of 20 years, you decided to treat me like a suspect. Like I'm some criminal who might be selling your precious company's secrets. I was protecting you, by lying to me, by tracking me like a dog." My voice cracked on the last word, and I hated myself for it. He reached for my hand. I pulled away. "Marlene, please no." I stood up, walked to the window so I wouldn't have to look at him. The streetlights were coming on. Little pools of yellow on the pavement. Mrs. Henderson across the street was walking her poodle like she does every evening. Everything is normal. Everything is a lie. "How long?" I asked without turning around. "What? How long have you been watching where I go?" A long pause. Then, quiet. "Since March." "March. 6 months. 6 months of me driving to the hospital to sit with Sister Carter after her surgery, to Keisha's dress fittings, to the grocery store, to Bible study, every mile recorded, every minute accounted for, by my own husband." I felt the tears come then, hot and furious. I didn't bother wiping them away. "I want you to leave tonight," I said. Marlene, take whatever you need for a few days. You can stay at your brother's. I'll call you when I'm ready to talk. He started crying then, big shoulders shaking like a child's. I'd only seen him cry twice before, when his daddy died, and when Keisha was born. I hardened my heart against it. I walked past him, down the hall to our bedroom, and started pulling his clothes out of the dresser, socks, t-shirts, the good church, slacks, folding them neat the way I've always done, and laying them on the bed. He followed me, begging, explaining, and promising. I didn't answer. When the suitcase was full, I zipped it shut and set it by the door. At the threshold he stopped, looked back at me standing in the hallway with my arms wrapped around myself. I'm sorry, he whispered. I love you. I closed the door softly, locked it, leaned my forehead against the cool wood and let the tears come for real. The first night he was gone, the house made noises I'd never heard before. The refrigerator hummed too loud. The floorboards upstairs creaked like someone was walking slow circles. I left every light on and still couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Marcus's face when I told him to leave, crumpled, ashamed, like a stranger wearing my husband's skin. Keisha called the next morning while I was making coffee, with hands that wouldn't stay steady. Mama, why Daddy's car in Uncle Ray driveway? Is he okay? I gripped the phone tight. Your daddy and I need a little space right now, baby. Grown folks working some things out. She went quiet to quiet. Keisha's always been able to smell trouble the way some folks smell rain coming. Mama, what does he do? I almost told her. Lord knows I wanted to pour it all out. How her daddy tracked me like I was property. How he chose his job over trusting his own wife. But Keisha's wedding was 6 weeks away. I heard the stress in her voice every time we talked about centerpieces and guest lists. I couldn't lay this on her either. Nothing we can't fix. I lied. You focus on being a bride. I love you. I hung up before she could ask more. The days blurred. I went to work at the clinic, same 12-hour shifts. I've pulled for 22 years and smiled at patients while my chest ached like somebody parked a truck on it. I cooked one and threw half of it away. I sat on the porch in the evenings the way Daddy used to, rocking slowly, watching lightning bugs blink on and off in the yard. Marcus called every night at 8, left voicemails I didn't answer. Marlene, I took the tracker out of the dress, threw it in the river. Please, baby, talk to me. I resigned from the merger team, told them I won't be part of anything that hurts my family. I miss you so much, the house doesn't even feel like home anymore. I listened to everyone, sitting on the edge of the bed in the dark, phone pressed to my ear, like if I held it close enough I could feel him through it. On the 7th night I finally picked up. He answered on the first ring. Voice hoarse. Marlene, I'm not ready to see you yet, I said, but I need to know the truth, all of it. Was there ever anybody else? Silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. No, he said finally. I swear on everything I love. It was never another woman. It was fear. Stupid, cowardly fear. I believed him. Don't ask me how I knew, I just did. 20 years teaches you the sound of your man's lies, and this wasn't one. Then why hide it from me, Marcus? We always said no matter how bad, we tell each other. I was ashamed, he whispered. Ashamed I let them make me doubt you. Ashamed I didn't stand up sooner. We talked until the sky outside turned lavender with dawn. Not about coming home yet, just talking. About his mama's recipes. About Jamal's new promotion. About how Keisha wants to write her own vows, and we both cried laughing, remembering our wedding when the preacher called me Marcia twice. When we hung up, something in my chest loosened just a little. The next Sunday I went to early service alone. Sat in our usual pew, third from the back on the left. Sister Carter slid in beside me. Patted my knee the way she's done since I was a girl. You are carrying something heavy, sugar, she said lowly. I can see it on your shoulders. After church I told her everything, sitting in her little kitchen that smells like lemon polish and sunbeam bread. Sipping tea strong enough to stand a spoon in. When I finished she didn't gasp or fuss. She just reached across the table and took both my hands in her knotted ones. Marlene, your daddy raised you to forgive 70 times 7, but he also taught you to protect your peace. You hear me? Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget what hurt you. It means you decide what that hurt is allowed to take from now on. I cried, then ugly crying into her shoulder while she rubbed my back, like I was 6 years old again. That afternoon I drove to Uncle Ray's house. Marcus was on the porch swing, looking thinner, eyes red-rimmed. When he saw my car, he stood up slowly, like he was scared to hope. I didn't get out right away. I sat behind the wheel for a long time, watching him wait. Then I rolled the window down. Get in, I said. He walked around and climbed in the passenger seat like a man stepping onto thin ice. drove out to the old lake road, where we used to park when we were courting back when gas was 79 cents, and he'd bring me a single rose from the BP station because it was all he could afford. The windows fogged with our breathing. Neither of us spoke for a long while. Finally, I said, "I'm not ready for you to come home yet, but I'm ready to start figuring out how we get there. Together. Counseling, church, whatever it takes." He nodded so hard I thought his head might come off. "And Marcus," I turned to look at him dead on, "if you ever keep something from me again because you think you're protecting me, we are done. I mean it. I'll walk and I won't look back." "I hear you," he said, voice cracking. "I hear you, baby." He reached for my hand. I let him take it. We sat there until the sun went down, two gray-haired people holding hands in a parked car like teenagers, trying to find our way back to the people we promised to be. The counselor's office smelled like eucalyptus and old books. We sat side by side on a brown leather couch that creaked every time Marcus shifted his weight. Dr. Renee was younger than I expected, maybe 42, with kind eyes and a voice soft as flannel. In the first session she just let us talk. I went first. Told her about the dress, the tracker, the dream, the way trust felt like wet paper in my hands now. Marcus cried quiet tears into a handful of tissues. When it was his turn, he didn't make excuses. He just said, "I broke the safest place my wife had. I don't know how to fix what I broke." Dr. Renee nodded slowly. "Broken things can be mended, Mr. Jackson. But first, we have to look close at all the sharp edges." We went every Tuesday for 3 months. Some nights, we came home and sat at the kitchen table till 2 in the morning, talking in whispers so we wouldn't wake the quiet we'd finally earned. He told me things I never knew: how scared he'd be when the partners started watching everybody, how one of the junior accountants got fired and blackballed for nothing more than his wife posting vacation pictures at the wrong time. I told him things too: how I'd started jumping every time my phone buzzed, how I couldn't pass the dry cleaners without remembering that Thursday afternoon when everything tilted sideways. One night in October, rain tapping softly on the windows, he reached across the table and laid the navy dress between us like an offering. He'd taken it to a seamstress, had the lining completely replaced. No tracker, no secret pocket, just clean silk. "I want you to have it," he said. "Wear it, burn it, give it away, whatever feels right. But I need you to see I'm not hiding anything anymore." I ran my fingers over the tiny white flowers. They were the same, yet different now. I folded it neatly and put it back in the box. "I'll wear it," I said, "but not for anniversary dinners. I'll wear it when I'm good and ready, and you'll know because I'll tell you." He smiled, then first real smile I'd seen in months, and it reached his eyes. Keisha's wedding day came crisp and golden, the kind of November Saturday the Lord makes special. I stood in the bride's room helping her into her gown, fingers steady now, laughing when she got lipstick on her veil. When it was time for the mother of the bride moment, I stepped back and looked at my baby, my loud, stubborn, beautiful girl, and felt my heart swell so big. I thought it might float us both down the aisle. Marcus waited at the back of the church, handsome in his charcoal suit, eyes already shining. When the organ started, he offered me his arm. I took it. We walked slowly, the way we used to walk through the county fair when the kids were small, me leaning into him just enough to feel steady. Halfway down the aisle, I felt him tremble. "You okay?" I whispered. He squeezed my hand. "Just grateful," he whispered back. "Grateful you still let me walk beside you." I squeezed back. The reception was held at the old barn out on Highway 70. String lights and mason jars, barbecue and banana pudding, folks dancing on plywood laid over the dirt floor. I danced with Keisha's new father-in-law, with Jamal, with my nephew who's taller than me now. Then the DJ played our song at last. The Etta James version Marcus put on a mixtape the week he proposed. He found me by the dessert table, held out his hand. I let him lead me to the middle of the floor. People made room, smiling that knowing smile folks give old married couples who still look at each other like that. We swayed slowly, my cheek against his shoulder the way it's rested 1,000 times before. "You wearing the dress?" he asked softly against my hair. I was navy silk under a cream cardigan because the barn was chilly. I'd put it on that morning without telling him, just to see how it felt. It felt like mine again. "I am," I said. He pulled back just enough to look at me, eyes searching. And I'm still here," I said. "That's what matters." He rested his forehead against mine right there in front of God and everybody. And we danced like the floor might disappear tomorrow. Later, when the cake was cut and the old folks were dozing in folding chairs, Keisha pulled me aside. "Mama," she said, eyes shining with champagne and happy tears, I don't know what y'all went through these last months, but whatever it was, thank you for fixing it. Seeing you and Daddy dance tonight, that's what I want when I'm old. I hugged her so tight her veil got crooked. Baby, I told her, marriage ain't about never breaking, it's about choosing, every single day, to stay and mend. She nodded like she understood. One day she will. Marcus and I drove home just after midnight, windows down, cool air whipping through the car. He reached over and laced his fingers through mine on the gear shift the way he did when we were 25 and broke and didn't care. When we got to the house, he didn't head for the guest room like he'd been doing on the nights he came over for dinner. He followed me to our bedroom, hesitant. I turned on the lamp. Soft gold light spilling over the quilt my mama pieced the year we married. I took off my cardigan, let it drop on the chair. I stood there in the navy dress with the tiny white flowers. He watched me like he was scared to breathe. I walked over, took his face in my hands, felt the bristle of his beard, the warmth of his skin and kissed him slowly and certain. Some things don't need words, we rebuilt. Piece by careful piece. Trust is a stubborn thing. It doesn't grow back overnight. But love, real love, it sits on the porch in the darkened rocks, slow till you're ready to come home, and sometimes, late at night when the house is quiet and his breathing is steady beside me, I still hear Daddy's voice, not warning this time, just soft and proud. That's my girl. So here I am, 53 years old, lying in the same bed where I once cried myself raw, listening to the man I married breathe slow and steady beside me. The navy dress hangs in my closet now, like any other dress, no secrets stitched inside, no ghosts hiding in the hem. Some nights I wear it to the grocery store, just because I can. Some nights I don't think about it at all. Family. Let me tell you what I learned the hard way. Love is not the feeling that keeps you from breaking. Love is the choice you make after the break every morning when you wake up still hurting and decide to stay anyway. Forgiveness isn't pretending it didn't happen. It's deciding the person is worth more than the pain they caused. If you're watching this and somebody has tracked your steps, hidden the truth from you, or made you feel small, no, you are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to make them leave until they remember who you are. But you are also allowed to open the door again when the work is real and the heart is humble, because some dresses are just dresses, and some marriages are worth fighting for, one honest day at a time. Have you ever had to rebuild trust after it was shattered? Would you have let him come home? Tell me in the comments, y'all. I read every single one. And if this old woman's story touched you tonight, like, share, and subscribe so we can keep sitting together on this porch a while longer. I love y'all. Go gently.